Hi everyone, welcome to Layla Land. My name is Layla. Before I came to Sweden, I had some stereotypes about this country. Now, after living here for more than 13 years, I can tell you that these stereotypes are not correct. So in this video, I'm gonna talk about my old stereotypes that I had before I came to Sweden and when I came here early on. So please keep on watching if you are interested in hearing my stereotypes. Some of you know that I was born in Kyrgyzstan, and in Kyrgyzstan, when I was little, I used to watch a cartoon called Karlsson på taket, or in English Karlsson on the Roof, which was written by Swedish writer Astrid Lindgren. So in my country, this cartoon was very popular, and I think all of my generation, we used to watch this movie. Originally this cartoon was made in 1968 or 1969 during the Soviet era, and even my parents grew up watching this cartoon, and I can say that everyone loved this cartoon. And before I came to Sweden, I thought that Karlsson på taket was also a very famous story here in Sweden, but when I came here I realized that it was not true, and that you couldn't even buy souvenirs that were dedicated to Karlsson, which was very strange and interesting to find out, because in my world it was such a popular character, such a popular cartoon, that I was like, why can't we buy any souvenirs? But instead, what is popular from Astrid Lindgren is another story called Pippi Långstrump. When I was little, I didn't even know who is Pippi Långstrump, so yeah, it was an interesting thing. Now in modern Russia, in 2012, they had even produced postage stamps as a 50-year jubileum to this cartoon, and yeah, I mean, you can see it was a very popular thing. Another stereotype that I had about Sweden was smörgåsbord, or Swedish table as we call it in Russian, and I know even in other countries, some countries they call it Swedish table, which is actually in Swedish buffet. And I thought that it was everywhere in all restaurants and cafes, but obviously this is not true. Usually in some restaurants, this Swedish table smörgåsbord is served during the lunch. Otherwise you can order a separate dish. My third stereotype was, of course, about ABBA and Roxette. Like, who doesn't know about ABBA and Roxette? When I came here, I thought that ABBA and Roxette were very popular groups, because they were very popular in Kyrgyzstan and in the entire Soviet space. Of course, now it's not the Soviet Union, but in the former Soviet countries, it was so popular that even today people still are listening to these groups. But when I came here, I realized that not all people are singing Dancing Queen, like no one is doing this. Actually, what I got to learn here was that I was told about the story that when ABBA was on its peak of its career, when it was very popular around the world, in Sweden it wasn't very cool to listen to this music, and people would be like, you listen to ABBA, this is not cool, you're not a cool person. So yeah, it was kind of interesting to find out. I don't know what I expected. Another common stereotype about Sweden, which I think everyone has, and I also had it, that everyone in Sweden are blonde and with blue eyes. This is not true. Not all people are blonde and with blue eyes. Even the ethnic population, like not me, like an immigrant, or for example the children of the immigrants, but I'm talking about the ethnic population that was born here. Even not all of them are blonde with blue eyes. Many people are dark-haired and with dark eyes. We can, for example, also look at the royal family, Swedish royal family. They are not very blonde with blue eyes, which can be explained by their French descent. The king has French roots and the queen is actually half Brazilian, half German. So of course, like, not all people are blonde. When I was little, like very little, even before I came to Sweden, I thought that Sweden is a short version of Switzerland, and I can explain why. For example, when we speak about Sweden and Switzerland in Kyrgyzstan, in both Kyrgyz language and in Russian language, it sounds very similar. So for example, Switzerland is Швейцария, while Sweden is Швеция. And of course I thought that Швеция, like Sweden, was the short version of Switzerland, Швейцария, just because it sounds very similar. Just Switzerland, Швейцария sounds a bit longer and it has many more letters in the word, while Швеция is just like very short. Now I'm coming to a bit sadder topics about Sweden and my stereotypes about this. When I came to Sweden, I thought that Sweden was a perfect country with like everything is blooming and everything is so perfect and everything is so fine. And I thought that there are no homeless people in Sweden. Can you imagine my surprise when I found out that there are so many homeless people in Sweden? I was so shocked and surprised to find out that even in Sweden there are homeless people, and I honestly cannot understand how in such a state as Sweden there are homeless people. Of course, the problem of homelessness is a very broad topic and you can't talk about it like in 2 minutes in a very short YouTube video, because it's such a complex problem and with so many different levels. But what I know, that according to Socialstyrelsen, or in English it's called National Board of Health and Welfare, they made statistics and they found out that in 2017, this is the only statistics that I could find on the internet, in 2017 there were 33,000 registered homeless people. And this statistics is not very full because they have excluded EU immigrants and refugee children who came to Sweden for asylum. So in real life this number is much higher. And we need to remember that in 2017 we lived in another world, and I suppose that after 2020, like what we had last year, a very crazy year, I suspect that there are more homeless people, and I really feel sorry about them, because being homeless is not a very nice thing. No one wants to be homeless, and especially like here in Sweden and in the Nordics, being homeless in the winter is the worst thing, according to my opinion, because it's so freaking cold. My last stereotype about Sweden was that there is no money laundering, there is no corruption, there is no bribery, and all these kind of crimes. I don't know why. I think I had some kind of pink glasses and I thought that everything was so ideal in Sweden that I couldn't even believe that in Sweden it's possible to have corruption, because it's such a rich country compared to Kyrgyzstan. Like, I understand in Kyrgyzstan people are corrupted because the system doesn't work well and they kinda need and have to be corrupted in order to provide food for their family because it is the only way they can make money. Like, I'm not justifying it, but I just try to understand why would someone take money and be corrupted. Like, corruption is a very broad topic, and it's not black and white. So I thought that this kind of thing doesn't exist in Sweden, and my eyes opened in 2009. I came to Sweden in 2007, and yeah, I thought I was learning Swedish and I was living my life thinking that it's a perfect country. And then in 2009 my eyes opened because there was a big scandal that was connected to the Red Cross, Swedish Red Cross, and its communications chef that worked there. He stole more than 7 million krona, and it was such a big scandal in Sweden that people were so upset, especially when such an organization as Red Cross, you think that it's a nice organization, and of course you donate your money to this so this organization could help other people who need money, who need some help and other utilities. I understand that it's not on the same level as in Kyrgyzstan or as in other countries, but just the fact that there was corruption and everything in this case made me realize that nothing is perfect in this world, and Sweden is also not a perfect country. Of course, I'm very happy and I love Sweden. I still think that it's a very good country and it's one of the best countries in the world, but just I took off my idealization glasses. Like, I don't idealize now everything. Like, I know that of course there are problems here in Sweden as well as it's in other countries, but just these problems of, let's say corruption, they are not that big as in other countries. So this is it. These are my stereotypes about Sweden. Let me know in the comments down below what you think. Do you have any other stereotypes about Sweden or about any other country that you are living in or where you lived? Please let me know in the comments down below as well. It would be very fun to read your comments. And of course, if you like this video, please like it. It would help the YouTube algorithm to discover my channel and my videos. I would be very thankful. And subscribe to my channel, of course, if you find my content interesting. Thank you for watching and see you next time.